Dear learners, welcome to my channel. In the last video, we have seen about the data set and I have introduced you to my data set, which is a adventure work, which is into the B2B selling of bicycles. So let me just give you an overview or the summary of what we have seen in the last video. We have basically data set which is in the Excel workbook file format, and we have some data that are getting captured, and the data is directly into the one file, and we have different sheets in which the data is getting captured. The first one, which is the heart of our data, which is an order sheet in which unique orders that has been placed is getting recorded. So we have this order which is a sales order ID 43659, which is placed on 1st of July 2017. This is a due date, ship date, this is a sales order number, this is a purchase order number, this is account number, this is the customer who has placed the order. This is the salesperson who has taken the order. Then this is the subtotal. So if you see, the subtotal is basically revenue, right? The revenue that is getting captured. And if you want to see this one order, how many items are there for this total? So if you go to the order detail list, we have something known as sales order ID. So now this sales order ID 43669, we have something, if you see the count, we see 12 different items has been ordered. So these are the quantities of that item, and these are the unit price, and this is basically the total of, or this is the line total. So if you sum this much of order for the line total, you will get this subtotal, right? So if you entirely sum the line total, entire column, if you take it and if you sum it up, you will get the total revenue. This is the most important thing, right? Then in the product dimension, we have the data related to the product, in which the product ID, which is the primary key, which is joining this data table with the order detail ID. So you will see product ID, and in product data, we have product ID, which is a primary key, which is joining this two data table, right? Then in customer data, we have customer ID, which is a primary key, which is joining this data with the order data. If you see in order data, we have customer ID, and in customer data, we have customer ID. So these are the two primary key by which these two data tables are linked or joined, or relationship we need to create it. Then in order data, we have something known as salesperson ID. If you see the salesperson and if you see the HR database, we have something known as employee ID. So these two are connected, right? So here we need to pull the staff data, which is an employee data. Then we need to pull order data. Then we need to pull order details data. We need to pull product data, and we need to pull customer data. Now, whenever you pull the data into the Power BI, you always remember that the name of the table, if you see it is written customer, so this name will appear into the query. I'll tell you what is this query. That in product data, it is written products. So this is the name of the query that will be fetched. If you see order detail, the name of the sheet is order detail, but the table name is order items. So these are the item wise list it is there. So order underscore items, that is the name of query that it will fetch. If you take orders, you will see orders. So this is the name of the table. Here in the sheet, it is written order data, but the table name is orders. So this name will be captured in the Power Query. Then in the HR, we have something known as LKP staff. So this is the name that is getting fetched, or it will be fetched in the Power BI. Now, let me just open the Power BI. Let me just close this file also. Now, let me just open the Power BI desktop. Now, whenever you open a Power BI, you will always be welcome with this screen, right? In this screen, Power BI will ask you either you want to create a blank report, or you will have some recommended reports also, or whether you want to open a report which you have already created, or directly it will ask you to load your data in terms of Excel workbook or SQL server or whatever file format it is, right? We always need to practice that. First of all, we'll always open blank report, because whenever you open a blank report, on the report view itself only, it will ask you to first add your report or add your data to your report, right? So the first thing that we need to understand is get, transform, and load the data. Right? Right? So this is the process known as ETL. E stands for extraction, T stands for transformation, and L stands for loading. Okay. So first thing that we need to do is get the data. Now, if you see there is an option in the home tab, home ribbon, get data. So in get data, the basic file format which are common data sources. So if you see Excel workbook, then text CSV, then web, then here you have something known as more. I always suggest you go to more and then you select all the data files which is there, right? These are the listed formats which are there, and the most important are Excel workbook, text and CSV, XML, JSON, from folder, PDF, and Access database. In this different file formats, generally the data are available. Now, as of now, our data is in the Excel workbook file format. So we'll choose Excel workbook file format, right? I'll provide you with the data. The data will be given into the description. Now let's click on, you can just download the data file. Now let's click on Excel workbook and click on connect. So it will ask you to load your data. So my data is in the desktop and Power BI video tutorial, and the name of the file is Adventure Works. So now this is in my Excel workbook file. So if you see, because we have selected Excel workbook, it can only accept Excel workbook files only. If you select text or CSV, then this file will not be visible, right? So you have to choose the appropriate data file format. As of now, my file is in the Excel workbook. That's why I've selected from the get data option Excel workbook. So you will see my adventure works. There is a data set which is there. Now click on it and click on open. So what will happen? First of all, the data will be extracted and it will be getting into the navigator window. Now here in the navigator window, whatever data is there inside the workbook, it will show you over here. Now since it's an Excel workbook, you will see something known as table. If you see, there is a blue header line which is visible. So this data is in the table format. So if you click on it, you will have some preview. If you see customer ID, store name, account number, address line 1, address line 2. So this is the same data which we have just seen it, right? If you see, along with that, we have something known as customer data. So this is known as a sheet. If you see, there is something known as sheet and there is something known as a table. So when your data is in tabular format, it will directly show you to the tabular format where the headers are listed and records are there. But if you go to customer data, now this is a sheet view. So in sheet view, if you remember, there was one blank row, right? There was a first blank row and there was a header known as customer. So what it is going to treat, it is going to take first row as a header, right? So if you see customer, it has taken the header and by default it has taken column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, and there is a null value which is a blank row in our data set. If you always pull, and because this is a sheet, right, which is not in a table format. But if you click on this tabular data, in tabular data, system knows where are the headers. Okay, so that's why it is very important to convert our data into a table format, because explicitly system knows that where is my header and where are my record. So always when there are table in your data set, we always need to pull the table into our report. So if you see, this is my customer. So this is a preview of data that is visible. Now next is department. If you see department, it is there in the table. But if you see the sheet, there's a department was given the title, and then was some blank row was there, and then some department and group name it is there, right? So if we try to import the sheet view, then we need to do some transformation. We need to remove the rows, and then we need to promote this as a header, and we need to convert into the table format. If you see the HR sheet, which is already having the employee, which is in the dimension, and if you see the table format, which is LKP, now you see the HR was written in sheet name and LKP was written in table name. So this will be a table which will be fetched, and this will be the name of a query that will be fetched, LKP staff. If you see order items, it is in tabular data. If you see order details, you will see order details. That was the first row, and then was some blank. So we have blank rows, and then we have main heading. So main heading here it is not, it is in the second row if you see. But if you click on order items, so you will see a data which is there in a structured format where the headers are sales order ID, detail ID, carrier tracking number, order ID. So headers are defined and records are defined. Similarly for orders, if you go and check out the order details, you will see there is a blank row Why? Because this is in a sheet view and this is in a table view order. So if you see, headers are already defined, all the records are there. And if you go to product, so product is also there in the table form, right? So we need to pull the data which is in tabular data format, and we need to make sure that our header are in the first row. We need to make sure that the data is in structured manner. Now, what do you mean by structured manner? The first row should have headers, okay, or field list. Then we have record into it. All records should be there. There should not be any missing value. And along with that, we need to check out data type also. So that we'll see how we correct the data type. Okay, so as of now, I want to pull my customer data. Then department data, I don't want it because it is there already there in the staff list. So if you go to the staff list, you will see here department and group name is already listed. So we not to pull this department again. So let's say, for example, we want to pull customer data, staff data, order item, order data, and product data. So what we are going to do is we are going to single tick on customer, staff, order items, orders, and product. Okay, so these are the tables I need to get from this file. Okay, so this data will be extracted and we need to transform the data because as of now there is no transformation has been done. So whenever we have a data set, first of all we need to get the data, that is extract the data, and we need to do transformation of the data. So first we'll click on transform data. So what will happen, this data will be loaded to Power Query. Now Power Query is one of the transformation engine which is going to transform your data set, right? So whatever transformation that we need to do it over here, right? And here if you see the query name which is listed over here in the property tab, so one by one we need to see it. Now what is the transformation that we need to, let's go one by one. Let's say for example customer. Now whenever we are pulling the data, we need to identify two things. One is known as fact table and one is known as dimension table. Now, as I have told you earlier also, what is fact table? Fact table is something in which revenue is getting recorded. Where is the business line, right? Where the money transaction is getting recorded. These are our fact tables. So if you see fact tables are order item in which line total is there, and orders data in which subtotal is there. If you see subtotal, it is over here, right? So subtotal in the order list and line total which is there in the order items list. These are our revenue which is getting captured. So this both are what fact table. Now customer is a dimension table. If you see there are no revenue that are getting captured. So customer is a dimension or it's a perspective by which we are going to analyze. So I want to say for example, I'll give you one idea that I want to analyze my revenue which is a line total by customer, right? So customer is a dimension by which I am going to analyze it. So whenever we identify dimension, we always need to write down, say for example, dim. Dim refers to as the dimension, or sometimes you also write down D, just only D to determine that this is a dimension table. Okay, and just press enter. So the name of query will be changed. D underscore customer. D refers to as the dimension, and F refers to as the fact. Sometimes we write down FCT for fact and DIM for dim, but always have one notation, right? Either dim or D or either fact or F. So this D is your customer dimension. Now the first thing that we need to do is we need to decide the data type of all these headers or field list. Now to decide data type, there are different ways by which you can do it. In the home tab, you will get this something known as data type at the top. If you see there, you list down decimal number, fixed decimal, whole number, percentage, date, time zone, duration, text, binary, and true false. Alternatively, you can just go and click on this one, 2, 3. If you see 1, 2, 3, see by default, because it was a number, Power Query has determined that the data type of this is a whole number. 1, 2, 3 refers to as the whole number, right? But since this is a customer ID, now anytime we are not going to sum this ID, right? Or we are going to find out the average of the ID. So whenever we are not going to do any aggregation, or any arithmetic operation, say for example summation, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? Whenever we are not going to do any kind of arithmetic operation on a numbers, then that number should be treated as a text, right? There is in number only that is possibility that number can be a text data type, right? The reverse is not possible. A text data can never be of number data type, right? So here we need to check out two things, data and data type. If you see the data, which is a numbered one, but the data type we need to select is text. Why it is text? Because we are not going to perform any arithmetic operation on this data, right? Then store name. Now store name, it's already a text data which is there inside it. So if you see ABC refers to as this text data type, right? Data is text and data type should be text. Here if you see, data is numbered but data type is text. Account number. Now account number is also a text data type. Why? Because we are not going to do any arithmetic operation, summation, multiplication, division, average. We are not going to find out on account number. So this is again a text data type. Then address line 1, again it's a text data. Then address line 2, again it's a text data. City is also text data. Now postal code. If you see, there are numbers that are written and there are some text which are written. See, in any data set, when you have a number or any textual character, then it becomes text data type. Now, if you see ABC123 refers to the general format. So explicitly postal code, if you see and understand postal code, we are never going to sum the postal code, or we are never going to find average of postal code. So that's why postal code will always be a text data type, because we are not going to perform any operation, arithmetic operation. Then we have state, then we have country code, and then we have country. Okay, so this is the first data set, the data and data type that we have decided it. Let's come to second part, LKP staff. Now, because this is a staff table and we need to only pull the sales staff, we'll first of all give a sensible query name, right? So because it's a dimension table, we'll write down D. And because we are going to pull only sales staff, I'm going to write down this query name, sales staff. Why? Because I'm going to pull only sales staff. Now, employee ID. Employee ID is identification. We are not going to perform any arithmetic operation. Hence, the data type of it should be text, right? So we'll select text data type. Data is numbered, but the data type will be text. National ID number. National ID number. So wherever we have this word called ID or identification, it is just a categorization. We are not going to perform arithmetic operation. So this will be a text data type. The data is a numbered one, but data type will be text. Similarly, contact ID. Data is a numbered one, but the data type will be text, because we are not going to perform any arithmetic operation. Similarly, manager ID. Data is a numbered one, but data type will be text. Why? Because we are not going to perform any arithmetic operation on manager ID. Then title. It's a text data, data type is text. Birth date, this is the most important. Date should be in the date format. If you see, there's a data type called date. Now this is a very special formatting, right? We have something known as text, then we have something known as number, and then there is something known as date format. In date also we have something date time and date time zone. Okay, so we need to choose specific thing. If it is date time, then we need to choose date and time. If it is date, then we need to choose date. So as of now, what it is in a date format. Marital status. If you see marital status, it is written M and S, right? So married or single. So like this is a text data and it should be data type should be text. Okay, so that is correct one. See, most of the time the data type will be correct, selected automatically, and it is correct only. But we need to check out that data where the data is numbered one and the data type is not, or it may be a text one. So ID, identification, we need to just check it out, right? So gender, again it's a text data. Vacation hours, so if you see, it's a quantitative, but it's a whole number. If you see, because it is written vacation hours, so it can be 1 2 3 4, so that is falls into the whole number category or discrete number. Then sick leave hours, sick leave hours is also in the 1 2 3. 1 2 3 refers to is the whole number, right? Then department is there in the text data, but here we need to filter our data, because we need to pull only sales information. That's why I will filter my data by sales only. Why? Because we need to have only sales person in our data set. Then grouping, again it's a text data. Rate, now this is important. Rate is in terms of currency. For currency, we have something known as fixed decimal. So fixed decimal is up to 2 decimal, because in currency we can go up till 0.99, right? Then we have $1 or 1 cent or 1 rupee, right? So there are only two decimal up till 2 decimal. So it's a currency. When we have currency, in terms of currency, we need to choose fixed decimal number. Then we have first name in the text data, last name in the text data, and email ID in the text data. Again, phone number. Phone number is a numbered data, and it should be in the textual data type, because we are not going to sum the phone number anytime. Then we have order item. Now this is my fact table. Why? Because here my revenue is getting captured. So this is my fact table. So I'll name with something known as fact F, and because this are items, I'll just write down items F underscore items, because this is my detailed item list that is there, right? Then we need to select sales order ID. This is identification. Because it's identification, I'll choose text data type. Again, sales order ID, it's a text data type, because we are not going to perform arithmetic operations. Similarly, carrier tracking number, again it's a text data. Order quantity, now this is most important. Order can be one, because if it is a bicycle manufacturing company, so order can be one bicycle, two bicycle, it cannot be 1.5 bicycle, right? So it's a whole number. Then product ID. Product ID is used for identification. So that's a text data, because we are not going to sum this product ID anytime. Similarly, special offer ID. It's a text data. Then unit price. Now this is most important. When we have a price quantity, it's a fixed decimal number, which is a dollar sign, which is specifying currency format. Right now, this currency will be a local currency in which your Power BI has been installed. Okay, I'll tell you how to change the currency also, but currency should be in the currency format, that is fixed decimal. For currency, it's a fixed decimal format or data type. So we need to choose fixed decimal number as a data type of unit price. Price is count and line total. Let's go to order. In order, sales order ID, it's a text data, because we are not going to perform any arithmetic operation. Order date should be in the date format. It is already in the date format. Due date, it should be in the date. Ship date should be in the date. Sales order number should be in the text data. It is there. This, it should be text data. Account number, it should be in the text. Customer ID. This is a numbered data, but it is an identification, so it's a text data. We are not going to perform any arithmetic operation on text data. Similarly, salesperson id is your textual data that is there. Then subtotal. Now subtotal is a revenue, so we need to go for fixed decimal data type, so it's a fixed decimal. Then freight, again it's a currency, so it's a fixed decimal number. And we have something known as total due. Again, total due is a summation, which is a fixed decimal number, because it's a currency format. And because it's a fact table where revenue is getting captured, I'll write down F underscore orders. That is the name of the query that I'm giving it, right? Then we need to go to product. Now in product, the first one is product ID, which is an identification. So it's a text data, because we are not going to perform arithmetic operation. Name is a textual data, and the data type is text. Product number, it's a text data, data type text. Make flag, now make flag is used for identification, and it's a textual data type that you have to remember, right? Color is a text data. Safety stock is a basically the number of stock that you have to maintain, and it should be whole number. It cannot be an continuous number. It's a discrete number, either one cycle, two cycle. It cannot be 1.5 cycle, right? So it's a whole number. Reorder point, it's again a whole number. Then standard cost. So cost is like a currency one, so it's a fixed decimal. Up till 2 decimal I want it. Then list price, so that is also in the fixed decimal, because it's a currency one. Then size is basically text data, because we are not going to perform any arithmetic operation. Then size unit, it is also a textual data. Then we need to go for weight unit. So that is pound, it'll be like pound or kg, something like that. So that's a text data. Then actual weight. Now weight can be a continuous one, right? So you can have 48.13 kilogram or 48.13 pound. Okay, so it's a decimal number, and the decimal, it can be go up to 4 decimal, 5 decimal, right? Your weight can go up till 4 decimal. Then days manufacture, so like 1 day, 2 days, so this is a whole number, right? It's a day. Then we have product model. So that's a text data and data type should be text. Similarly, subcategory, it's a textual data and the data type should be text. Category, text data and data type should be text. Product line, the data is text, data type should be text. Class, ABC, so that's a textual data type. Then we have style, right? That is also a textual data type. Category ID, the data is numbered, but because it's an identification, it is goes into the text data type. Then date, sell date and discontinued date. Now the date should be in the date format, right? And let's give this name product time because it's a dimension one. Let's give this name d underscore products. So now all my five queries are have been the data and data types has been decided, all the transformation has been done. Now we need to load my this query into my Power BI data model. So let's click on, if you see close and apply, you will see first option close and apply. So when you click on close and apply, what will happen? All this query will be transfer extracted, then transformation, whatever transformation that we have done it, and finally it is going to load in our Power BI data model, right? So this in this part, what we have done is we have extracted the data from Excel workbook file, then we have transformed the data in the Power Query editor window, and then we have loaded the data into our Power BI data model. So if you want to check where is my data, now if you go to this second pane called table view, you will see our data that is getting loaded over here. If you see customer, all my data has been loaded. If you go to product, all my product data has been loaded. If you go to sales staff, all my sales staff are there. If I go to item list, all my items, and if you go to order, all my orders are there. And most important, if you go to the model view, you will see something which is known as data modeling. Now here, when we load our data, first of all, we need to do the data modeling. Now, what is data modeling? So there's a common rule which we generally follow. We always keep our dimension table at the top and fact table at the bottom. So if you see the lines which are created automatically, and if you hover over it and click on it, you will see customer ID and customer ID that is highlighted. That's known as a primary key. Now, this is known as entity relationship diagram, or we just call it as the model view. In model view, you will see the relationship that are getting created. If you see there is one written over here, and if you see there is a downward arrow, which is stating that your relationship flow from dimension to fact. If you see the asterisk sign refers to as the many. Right now, if you just double click on this line, you will see the relationship window from table order. So you will see customer ID is a key, and this is a customer ID which is a key which is joining this two data table, right? The relationship is one to many. Now how we need to read one customer, now what this is stating is one customer has placed many orders, right? One customer has placed many orders, right? So this relationship is automatically created. Why? Because when the header name are same, system will automatically understand that the relationship between their customer dimension and order table is with the customer ID. If you see the sales staff, it is not created automatic relationship, because here if you see in sales staff we have something known as employee ID, and if you go to the order table we have something known as salesperson ID. So the name of header is different, and that's why automatic relationship has not been detected by the system. If you go to the item list, you will see sales order ID, which is a common header, and the name of header is also similar. So when you have a similar header name, relationship will be created automatically. And if you see the relationship flow of relationship, one order has many items. So if you see, it is created by sales order ID. So if you see one in one order, we have different order items. So if you remember 43660 or 43659, it was having 12 different items. So this arrow shows the relationship that exists between the two data tables. If you see the product, you will see one to many relationship, right? One product has been ordered many, or one product is there in many items list. How it is getting connected? So if you see over here, this is connected with product ID. So if you just drag and click on this view, and if you just resize it, you will see all the variables that are getting listed, right? Let me just resize it, the window. Now, if you see here, we have something known as product ID. So this two data table are joined with the product ID. Now, if your relationships are not automatically created, then we need to manually create the relationship. Now, how do you create relationship? Just by clicking on employee ID, holding it, dragging it, and putting on the salesperson ID and release it. So it will automatically create new relationship. So if you see employee ID and salesperson ID, because the header name are not same, automatic relationship will not be created. So we need to explicitly create relationship by connecting it and just save the relationship. So from now onwards, system will understand that this employee ID and salesperson ID in this list, these two data tables are connected. So this is known as the data modeling. So now if you see, we have created data modeling where we have joined the customer table, the sales table and product table. These two are our dimension table, and order list and item list. These are our fact tables, right? So how the relationships are flows from this dimension to fact, this one to many relationship. Okay, from dimension to fact, there must be always one to many. And because we this directly product table is not related with the fact table, we have introduced an item list which is joining this table, right? So this is an entire relationship diagram that we have created, and this is known as a data modeling. In model view, we have to create relationship between data tables. All the data tables should be connected or joined. There should be relationship between different data tables, and the relationship must be one to many between dimension to fact, and if it is a fact to fact, then also it should be one to many. All the data tables should have at least one relationship, and the relationship should flow from one to many, right? So this is the basic of data modeling. So in this video, we have learned about getting the data from Excel workbook file, then transformation of the data type, uh, transformation of the data, in which we have learned about uh, selecting the correct data type for which the data is given, and then after loading the data, we need to go to the model view and create relationship between different data tables, right? So this video will summarize about ETL process: extraction, transformation, and loading, and how you create relationship between data models and uh, join the data set to have a comprehensive overview before starting of the analysis, right? So I hope you got the idea about creating relationship or creating data modeling in Power BI. And if you still have any query, then definitely you can ask me to the comment section. And I hope you have good overview of data modeling. Thank you.